Yeah, check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Hey, listen, man, it's the one and only trendsetter DJ Sense, and you're listening to CockTales, dirty discussions with Kiki and Medina Monroe. Yeah.
Today's cocktail is called a friend zone. The ingredients that you need are some gin, some lime juice, and you're gonna wanna get some lavender simple syrup. So here's how we're going to make it. You should be pouring it in a shaker. However, I forgot a shaker. So I'm gonna pour it in a cup and then shake it back here. So we need 2.5 ounces of gin. Then we wanna do a half of lime juice. And then a half of the lavender simple syrup. You can get lavender simple syrup from Total Wine. They have a bunch of different flavors. So like I said, we should be using a cocktail shaker, but I forgot it. So I have an ice cube in here in this tin mug. Tin gets cold really quickly. Shake it up. And then you want to strain it into, I think this is a gimlet glass, so that it's pretty. Every last drop. And then you want to garnish it with some sort of dried fruit, maybe if you have lavender. But that, my friends, is a friend zone.
Welcome back to CockTales Dirty Discussions, you guys.
Hey, y'all.
We're back with another episode this week. We do have a guest, but before we introduce her, I just want to ask you real quick, how's your week? What's been going on? Any updates that you need to let us know about?
You know what? It's funny that you say that because, yes, I want to let everybody know I recorded a bonus episode with Jody from Provocative Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
She opened up for us in Chicago. The episode's on Patreon. I didn't know this, but she's on a reality TV show. It's called The Never Ever Mets.
Mm-hmm.
It is fucking insane, the concept of the show. I'm saying that, and I was on Temptation Island, and that was insane. This shit is wild. So if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to it, make sure you join patreon.com/cocktails so you can catch up on some of the bonus content we have.
Yes, and I want to say thank you to everybody who participated in this survey. I will be announcing the location and all the details for the trip very, very soon. Thank you, guys. So just click the link in the description box below, and you can leave your email address if you didn't take the survey, so that whenever everything launches, you can sign up and come have a good time with me. Now, this week, we have a very special guest with us today. She is a life coach. Annie, welcome.
Hi, Annie. Hi. I feel like I gotta say more because Annie is one of those forever school people. She's smart and rich. That baby. Annie, when I asked her, I was like, what should I say that you do? I was like, are you a therapist? Because the way that I met Annie was on a Paradise and Vibe trip. You and Brittany from Hardy Clinic. Did the workshops, and they were incredible workshops. Like, people was crying and passing around like, the Skittles. Remember the Skittles thing?
Skittles, yes, of course.
Ooh, I know that gets them every time. But so I was like, are you a therapist? What do we do? And I have to read it. Annie has a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in sport and performance psychology. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I can't wait to find out. And she is currently getting her doctorate in leadership and innovations. And you're a life coach.
Yeah.
That's one of those resumes where you can brag on a first date and possibly bore him, but also he gonna be like, she really doing a lot. I'm intimidated.
You know, you should be. Just a little bit.
How did you get into this?
So I have my bachelor's in psych from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And while I was there, I did a lot of stuff with the sports teams. So I've played sports and then love football, basketball, all that stuff. So I found out through one of my mentors that sports psychology was a thing. And I was like, I don't think I'm done with school yet. My liver needed to recover from 4 years living in Vegas.
I understand that.
So lucky, it's shocking. I've never been arrested, which is just
what a blessing.
What a blessing. I've been watching this new Netflix documentary reality show, and it's called Unlocked, the prison experience. Have you watched it?
Yes. I've watched
at first
it.
I was like,
really interesting.
And it keeps you watching it because it's like, wow, people really make decisions to go to jail, and it's crazy up in there. They made a noodle pizza with crunchy refried. I was like, wow. So it's a blessing you've never been locked up. Me neither.
No locked up. So I did walk down Tropicana Avenue in a Minnie Mouse costume. I did do that, but
what is Tropicana? That's in Vegas?
It's in Vegas.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? In a Minnie Mouse costume? How did that happen?
It was Halloween. I got in a car with some people, and then I didn't feel safe, so I got out. And
the young days.
Well,
exactly.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. So I wasn't done with school, went to the University of Tennessee, go Vols, huge volunteer fan. Got my master's in sport and performance psychology there. Loved it, worked for a sports management company doing player relations. And then life took a little turn. My now ex-husband joined the Navy. And so we moved to Hawaii. And that was amazing, but there's no sports in Hawaii.
At all.
So I was like, what am I going to do? So I started working for the Army, and I taught their performance enhancement and resilience curriculum for 12 and a half years. And I loved it. Traveled all over the world, met a whole bunch of really cool people, lived in a whole bunch of really cool places, and then worked on Wall Street. That was fun.
You have lived 1,000 lives.
I have lived 1,000 lives, and then decided to come here and live in Georgia. And so now here I am, still traveling, but still home roots is in Georgia. And I love
back up really quick to the sports psychology. So do you deal with people who have, like, I think it's called CTE?
CTE, yeah. So that's football players. So the thing with CTE is you don't actually know you have it until you die. Right. So they have to actually test your brain post-mortem to be able to diagnose you with CTE. There's symptoms, and they're getting much better at like what that looks like based off of how many concussions you've had and a whole bunch of other things. But it's not something that you can like get a CT scan or MRI and it shows up and they're like, okay, it's for now, from my education, it's post-mortem. So.
And then I've always wondered, because I get confused about this, what is the difference between a therapist, counselor, and a life coach?
That's a good question.
Okay, so a therapist, so I'm not a clinical psychologist, which is what you would think of as a therapist or a counselor. So I have education in counseling. I can counsel people. It's really the type of degree you have. So like
the type of what that you have?
Yeah, the degrees. So if you're like a licensed marriage and family therapist, then you would call yourself a therapist. If you're a certified counselor or licensed counselor, licensed clinical social worker, you might call yourself a therapist. It's really just your background and degrees. The only thing that is a little bit different is like a psychologist. So my background is in psychology. I can't call myself a psychologist until I have my doctorate in psychology. So if you're going to see a psychologist, that means you're going to see somebody that has completed their doctorate in psychology of some sort. And there's lots of different options you can have there.
And then with, you were saying about your education and you've gotten the degrees, but I noticed that you were like a licensed married and family counselor. So is there, after you earn the degree, is there a test you have to take or some sort of certification for any of those things?
Yeah, so I'm not a licensed marriage and
right.
But if you wanted to be one, yes, you have to take a test in Georgia or wherever you're planning to have a practice, and then you're licensed in that state. And sometimes they have like border states, so you can be licensed in multiple different states to practice. The reason why I didn't do that is because I like to make money, and I'm also very rogue. And so if I'm not licensed, nobody can tell me anything. So I can do whatever I want. And I also have the background and the degrees to be able to give people real advice and my opinions without having left and right limits. I'm very ethical. I try not to, like, people are always like, oh my gosh, you're a psychologist. Are you reading me? And I said, no, you're not paying me. Like,
I'm just having a conversation.
I'm just talking to you. Like, so that's kind of been my thing, is like the ethics part and like having to get relicensed and do all that stuff. I just haven't felt the need, and I make decent money without it. So why do it?
Why would somebody want a life coach? Is it ever like someone's having issues with dating and they're like, can you help me with this part? Is it always business?
So I am technically right now a management consultant. So I work with C-suite executives, like Fortune 500, like people. These people make so much money.
Are they single?
They do.
Some of them, yes.
Are they sexy?
I'd have to.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
But they make, it's wild, the pay structure there. So people would want a life.
Where do they
coach
hang out at?
At a good hotel bar.
Okay, y'all heard it. I'm trying to help the listeners.
Yeah, good hotel bar and a nice one. And you need to go in and like know what you're ordering, like order a good drink. And you can kind of tell who has money based on what they order. Old fashioned is a dead giveaway. That's probably an old rich man with money that's ordering an old fashioned.
I love an old fashioned.
Listen, keep those eyes open, ladies, not on your phone. And order an old fashioned even if you don't like it.
She's like, I don't know about that. Or a little Manhattan or something would be nice. Yeah.
Okay, I cut you off. Keep going.
No, you're good. So you would want a life coach, yes, for dating advice. You might want it for couples advice. You might not want to see a therapist. Like that just the couch and stuff might not be for you. And so life coaches kind of have like I said, a little bit more, like I have absolutely gone on a walk with somebody and like helped them out, or like went to have coffee, or, you know.
You can get a little bit more personal.
You can get a little bit more personal, and the things that you're working on are life matters. So it can be anything from dating to leadership stuff to parenting to like, it's a very broad spectrum of what you can talk about. Versus therapy, you're usually, there's an end goal, and at some point you want to stop being in therapy because you healed from that trauma, or rekindled your marriage, or figured out what the issue was with your child or something. Like usually there's an end goal, at least in my opinion. Versus life coaching, you can have a life coach forever because your life is going to constantly be evolving and changing, and you might just want a sounding board from someone to talk about it.
I always think about Ayanna Van Zandt, and I know that she has some very interesting ways to get through to her people. And then you said sometimes you go rogue. What are some things that you might do that are a little bit different?
A little bit different. So
Than just talking.
I love to throw things back in people's faces. So people will tell me something.
Say at them.
That's very rogue. No, but I can like raise my tone to a certain point, and it's like my son calls it my mom voice, and I'm just like, it just gets people's attention. But also I listen very intently to what people are saying, and no human being likes when someone repeats back exactly what they just said, because you can't argue with it. So I think one of the best things about that type of life coaching is like, well, you just said that you didn't like XYZ because of XYZ. And people just are stunned that you're listening. And I think that's it for a lot of people. It's just like, people don't listen. They're constantly getting ready to formulate a response, and you're just like, you would listen to what they said. They know they sound crazy. And then they can tell them it's easy. The best thing in my life is when an executive, person, anybody, I can give them something back and they're like, damn, that was not.
Have you ever given somebody something back though and they get like an attitude and they're like,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
not what I said?
I don't care about that. Go ahead, have an attitude about yourself. Like, I'm going to be here to help you, but I'm going to make you work for it, because that's the only way you're going to be successful. And that's what my end goal is for you. And I stand for people who hire me will leave with some type of tool or new way to communicate, or new way to look at, have a new outlook on life, a shift in mindset. And if I can do that, then that is the legacy that I want to leave on this earth, is that I helped, even if it's 2 people, get to that point. And so that's what I do.
That's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Do we want to play I'm Curious to Know, or go on to Weird Sex?
We'll go on to Weird Sex, and when we come back, we can play I'm Curious to Know when we get back, and then ask Annie a ton of questions.
You said a man is not a necessity, a man is a luxury.
Like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not a necessity.
Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter?
Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
All right, so this week's Weird Sex. This story comes out of California. I thought it was interesting to me, because I'm like, what is going on in everyone's lives? I want to ask y'all before I tell y'all the story, where is the weirdest place you've ever had sex?
I feel like I've answered this question before.
You might have done something new weird. Or can you think of anything?
I had sex under a pier in California.
The
That's
first
an
thing
interesting
that pops
place.
up in my mind is the Delta Lounge.
Oh, wow.
When we were coming back from South Africa.
We're not.
Okay, well, I mean, depending on who caught you, you might have ended up having sex where this person had sex. They were having sex in a police car. Now, how do you have sex in a police car?
With the officer?
Exactly. Now, let me tell you guys what happened. So there was a guy in San Diego, a police officer there. He just resigned because he was caught having sex.
You about to lose your job.
And did.
Wow.
So he was transporting a woman to a detention center after she had been arrested on suspicion of car theft, right? Well, they were having a really interesting convo in their car ride from detention center to detention center. And it led to the woman asking him if he wanted to have sex with her. So she says, "Are you single?" He says, yeah, but you're not. And then she says, I'm down to fuck right now.
She's a prisoner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
She
in the
wanted
back.
to get it before she went to jail.
She's like, it's going to be a long time I did that shit.
that's
I did that shit.
wild.
Okay. He interrupts and says, don't say that right now. Because everything is being recorded.
You already in trouble, bro.
Then he proceeds to cut the cameras off. Now, pause. I want to know, what is the point of having all of these cameras and stuff to have some sort of checks and balances on these officers if they can just turn the shit off?
Right, like they shouldn't they shouldn't have that ability.
They should not, but he did, and it still didn't work out well because when you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. So, okay, so he turns off the cameras, and then they continue the conversation. Well, they decide to have sex. He parks the car. He got in the back seat with her. And then I'm also thinking, like, those are not cushion
No,
seats.
not
That
at
is like
all.
a park
Plastic.
bench. So anyway,
And it's squunched
And dirty.
and
they could have
dirty.
both been kind of petite people. I don't know. But 15 to 20 minutes later, he had to make a distress call to the other officers because he had locked himself in the back with her. Because, you know, they can't unlock that back there. And then you've got the partition thing, the bar. So he's locked himself in there. He has to make a distress call to a fellow officer. The fellow officer gets out there. He like, what the fuck y'all been doing, you know? And so whenever, and it took him an hour to get there. So he gets there to rescue him. And then he questions him about why he was there. Like, for real, what are you doing? He said he got in the back to help her with a medical emergency. I didn't know horniness was a medical emergency.
They about to try to add that to the list of medical emergencies.
They not, because he's in trouble still. So anyway, after all of that happened, both of them kept their mouths shut during the investigation and everything. But then they also found semen on his belt. How you didn't clean it up good?
And you had an hour.
Yeah, you had time. You should have been looking around. You had time to clean up the scene of the crime. You should have been looking around that thing. I know y'all wasn't using protection. This is just a wild, dirty, nasty
And
mess.
this is grounds for all of his whole career to be investigated. Because what other stupid shit you done did, sir?
Absolutely.
So anyway, whether they had sex or she sucked his dick or he ate a little cootie cat, I don't know. But something sexual happened because there was semen on that belt. He's caught. He had to resign from his office. And it was just a mess.
If he was eating fresh jail coochie in the back seat,
I mean, and if she was sucking his stale dick with all the duck butter, how long has he been at work? It's not like they work 4 or 5 hours a day and you riding around that hot car with all those clothes.
Was this in Florida?
This was in San Diego.
California. This is my home state. I'm disappointed.
And it's hot in San Diego. And this happened in the summertime. But yeah, they in jail. Well, he's not in jail. She's in jail. I don't know what he's doing. It's a mess. But anyway, thank you guys for sending in those weird sex stories. I appreciate it. Keep sending them to me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Annie. So Kiki and I created a game. It's called I'm Curious to Know. If you guys would like to purchase it, go to I'mCuriousToKnow.com and get it now. It's a game that we're kind of like life coaches. We're helping people.
You are.
We're coaching people through dating, through these cards.
Love it.
So we're gonna ask you a few of them. Give us your honest answers, or you have to take a shot. No, I'm just playing. Just you can lie if you want.
I'll put as my friends say, I'll put my ghetto therapist hat on for you all.
Okay. So Kiki, you want to go first?
Sure. What piece of advice did your parents give you growing up that you didn't understand at the time, but now you totally get it?
So my mom's a pastor.
Really? Oh, you was wild.
Southern Baptist ordained. Yeah, I actually wasn't. My sister was, which that's a whole separate story. But I think the best piece of advice my mom gave me was she was always really honest about feminine hygiene. And like she taught like these are the things that have like, so I like have deodorant in my car and wipes and like
She
all
was
that.
like, stay
it was
ready.
the best piece of it because it's hot in Georgia and it like you don't want to be the person smelling.
You don't want to be caught out there slipping.
Not
You
at all.
don't.
And it was, it's the best. That's the best advice that I, as a woman, like to make sure that you are fully prepared for have extra underwear and all of those things.
Have extra tampons in every bag.
Yes,
I hate when I run out and I'm going through like all my little spots where I keep them and I'm like, fuck, I gotta stop somewhere because I'm like bleeding out. It looks like a gunshot victim.
And I keep them in the most odd places. Like, and when they're all out, it's like, wow, you need to get it together, sis. Yeah. And if you are stinking out there, make sure y'all check out Lumi and use code CockTales.
Yeah.
Okay. Annie, I'm curious to know, how do you feel about traditional gender roles in a relationship?
I think they're whack.
Why?
Because so for me, I was married for 6.5 years. That's a whole separate story, but I was always the breadwinner. So I've always made more money. It's the most intimidating thing, especially for Black men, to have a woman with as many degrees as I have. And I don't really my degrees mean nothing. They're a piece of paper and it means I read a lot of books. That's literally all that means. It doesn't give me life experience. It doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody else. It just means that I chose to get in a lot of debt and be in school for a long time.
Yeah.
And be able to pay the debt off.
At some point, maybe. We'll see what Biden does for us.
Right. We'll see what happens.
We'll see
Whatever.
So for me, the intimidation factor of I travel a lot. I do a lot of stuff by myself. I've always had this saying, if I'm in a relationship with you, it's because I want to be. It's not because I have to be. So you're here because I'm choosing to be with you and I like you for whatever or love you for whatever reason. And when that runs out, bye.
I know that's right.
Now, let me ask you this.
No,
Continuation to that question. We had Lamont on, the gay dating coach in Atlanta.
Love that podcast.
He's
hilarious.
He is hilarious. And we had such a good conversation with him. And he does a lot of date coaching for women to stay out of the friend zone. And one of the things that he said stood out to him about women, especially in Atlanta, was they do talk about their degrees and their accomplishments so much that sometimes it can be a huge turnoff for men. Not necessarily intimidated, but it's just it's almost the equivalent of a man talking about how much he has. Have you ever felt when your ex or whoever else has been intimidated, it was you kind of were purposely wanting them to feel that? Or was it a them thing or a you thing?
I think it's a 50-50. I'll take ownership of that. I like to have intelligent conversations. So if you can't match that, that's going to be difficult for me. And I talk about a lot of weird brain stuff and watch a lot of weird documentaries. I love crime TV. It's just so I'm did you hear about this theory and this? And I love when psychologists talk about killer minds and stuff I will go down a rabbit hole with that all day. So if you can be intellectually challenging to me, that is a huge turn on for me. Some men think that giving me money or taking me shopping and dinner, I can do that for myself. That's not what I really need. So that's probably my 50%. But I think to his point,
so that's when it comes out.
Yeah, that's when it comes out. But I think the other is what are you intimidated by? What are you intimidated for? So if I have all these degrees, shouldn't you be pumping me up and seeing what my next steps is? If it was my man, I'd be look at this doctor over here. That would be what I'm doing. There's such a dichotomy between gender roles as we were talking about earlier. And it's just so weird to me. It's if you want to be with that person, be with that person. If you guys can figure it out, then great. And if you can't, then there's 5 billion people on this earth. Find somebody else.
And I think it's funny that you said you repeat things back to people during your life coaching. I think dating can be an example of that. Sometimes people think they want something and that's not really what you want to experience. So the people that do get intimidated by the degrees or turned off by whatever it might be, you want him to give you the money or you don't. It's you don't really know what you want if you get intimidated by somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. I do. Do you believe in soul ties?
Yes.
And why do you believe in the soul ties?
Because I have one.
You said had or have?
Have.
Okay.
So a guy I dated 20 plus years. I'm not that.
Come on, Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh yeah, on and off. You played football, NFL player. We had a great time. We're still friends to this day. Still, there's still kinetic energy between the two of us. I don't think we'll ever get married. I don't think we'll ever have kids. But I think that he's just somebody that, for whatever reason, we've known each other since we were 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
He will be around and we have broken up with partners. My ex-husband hated, people have been mad at us. I had a whole Carrie Bradshaw moment with him at my wedding. He was at my wedding.
He stood up when they said, does anybody?
No. You want to hear this story?
Yes.
So I'm pulling up in an Audi. I got married in Newport Beach, California. I'm in this beautiful princess white dress. We're on the beach. I'm pulling up in this Audi and I happen to be standing up out of the sunroof. And I pull up and who is standing on the sidewalk as my car pulls up?
Mr. Soul Tie.
We call him Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. Except I'm like, I hope you don't die at 50 on a Peloton. And
Right.
I can't believe they
so
killed Big
dramatic.
off like that. I was really like, why did y'all do that?
Because he had those
can't
scandals
win.
going on. That's why
Correct.
they killed him off.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you chose women over and over and over again over me, and now like I'm at my best right now. So it's like, why? No, I'm good, and we're just on and off again. So it's like I'll be ready to have a relationship. He's not ready, but like we always keep in touch. We always check in. We say happy birthday. His birthday was last weekend. Like, hey, how are you doing? Like, that's just, and I'm not willing, in any relationship I get in, I always am like, preface, this happened, we have slept together, not recently, it is what it is, but like, he's going to be around.
Oh, you tell the current about the...
Yes. Oh, they know.
There's going to be an issue
That's
later.
a soul tie, right? Like, we're not going anywhere.
Oh, if the shoe was on the other foot.
It's good to tell though, and then that way the other person can decide if this is too much for them or not.
100%.
I would appreciate that. I would rather you tell me so I can be like, well, I just need to exit and y'all figure this out.
It's really about trust. I'm telling you up front, this is what it is. And if you don't like, you can express that to me and we can try to find like, I can tell you when I call or we talk or whatever, but like, if you're fine and you should trust me. I've never cheated on anyone in my whole life. I'm not going to start like for what now. That's my biggest thing with cheaters. Just break up with people. I was watching the crime. I was like, why are you killing people?
That's what they need to make a documentary about cheaters. Study their mountain. Can you study their minds?
Just leave. Just go away. And like, don't kill people because you don't like. You're going to jail now. Like, no.
It's rare
and you're
that
not
they get
getting
away.
that insurance money.
No, to run away with your new boo.
They're gonna find those text messages. Like, I'm always like, y'all never get better at it. It's like, they just got a policy. Let's get it. And then they find out you was cheating. Anyway, so you were standing outside of the car at the wedding.
Yeah, no, he was just on the sidewalk and I had to walk right. Like it was a straight shot, me and him locking eyes as I'm pulling up to my wedding. I had to walk right past him and go get married.
Did Bay see you looking at him like in a way?
No, he was probably drunk off Hennessy somewhere. It was with his friends. He was I should have known then. Okay, there was a lot of red flags. That's another episode for another day.
I understand that.
Okay, that's funny that we just talked about that because here's my last one.
Okay.
I'm curious to know, Annie, is it okay to remain friends with an ex when you're in a new relationship?
I think it depends. Because I've known him, we grew up together. So that's the catalyst. And like our families are close friends. Like we spend holidays with them, we do vacation. Like, so it's not just him. That I think is weird. But like his mom literally has come to watch my son when I've had to go out of town. So like his brother is my best friend. His wife, like they've come to Georgia twice since we've lived here. Like we're interconnected because we all grew up together. So I think it depends. I think for the most part, no. And I'll tell you, in the relationship that I'm currently in, they wanted to stay friends, and I said no, and it wasn't respected, and I almost killed somebody. So
He's gonna be on Snap.
I was gonna be on Snap.
Special, the life coach.
Just almost lost
Every
it.
dog has their day.
So my mom last month, she recently, I think it was last month or maybe it was the month before, but her ex-boyfriend died, and she went to his funeral, and it was so funny because I've always heard about him. I've met him, and he this is crazy because she grew up with him.
Yeah.
He was like, he wanted to marry her. I can't remember everything that happened, but my mom was like, this ain't it. And like my dad came in and swept her feet. That's what she ended up with, but they always stayed in touch. And I was like, Mom, how does dad feel? But my parents are still married and live together, you know?
Well,
and so I was like, Mom, does dad feel some way? Like, I know y'all old and stuff now, but like, does he feel some way? And she was like, no, I don't think so. I was like, let me ask him.
Did you?
I did.
You
I was
were
like,
messy with that. That man is dead now.
I was like, Dad, do you feel some way about mom going to her ex-boyfriend's funeral? He was like, at first I was, but he was like, have you seen him? And I was like, and I rest in peace to that man. But my mom was like, it was like you're saying, like he was a family friend. His mom was like her mom. Her siblings, it was so long ago. Her siblings everyone went to his funeral, except for my dad. My dad didn't go. I was like, you sure you're not mad, nigga?
I wouldn't go either. Like, that's not my friend.
Right. But that's funny. You have another one?
Yes, I have one more. Do you have a specific type, and could you describe him or her in detail?
6'5", 250, dark.
Amen.
You was ready.
Love a good trap. Yeah.
Strong
I like
neck.
a little. You don't need a six pack. That's the one thing that I do not love is that I'm just like not.
You want just a regular body build?
I just want a regular body.
Okay.
I have I don't need to keep
The
up with your meal
six-packs.
prepping and all that.
so
Exactly.
Now you feel intimidated.
Yeah, I'm like,
he ain't even say he just cutting
I
up a
just want to
salad.
eat Wingstop today. Damn. And you talking about
wanna
boring
go to
ass
the food
brown
festival.
rice
And
other
broccoli.
shit. Live to eat to live, not live to eat. I live to eat. Okay. Okay, that was my last one.
That was my last one too. If
Okay.
you guys want to order I'm Curious to Know, go to I'mCuriousToKnow.com and get it. That was a long round of it, but I absolutely love that game. Okay, Annie. So do you remember when we were in South Africa at that Black-owned winery? And I think you overheard me telling the story about how me and my boyfriend were getting on the plane. He got upgraded to the...
And I said I would leave your
You
ass in
were
the
like-
back
I
of
said
the
the
plane.
same thing.
I said you are crazy for that.
and he got upgraded to the
That's such a
you know when you're traveling
Delta
internationally.
One.
Yes.
And it's not even like I was like, you better not take the upgrade, nigga.
I feel like that's what you did though.
I didn't. I would
feel like
never.
that's
Probably
what you
did it with her face and
I
didn't
would
realize
never
it.
do that. He I would never
He's
do
so
that.
nice though.
So I would do the same thing for him though. And
I
so,
wouldn't.
Me either. And Annie made that. Annie was like, she wasn't even in the conversation. She said, "What did you do?"
That's how I was feeling.
Okay. Let me explain. It is a 7. That
It's
was
nothing to
by
explain.
far the longest flight I have ever been on in my whole life. Was
It was
from Cape
long.
Town.
U.S. to South Africa.
It
Went
was
backwards, Cape Town to Atlanta,
Oh, yeah.
17 and a half hours. And that man sat in economy for her.
He
Fuck
did.
no.
He did.
I said,
My
you-
knees hurt.
Baby, you could have came and laid with me in Delta One. We could have laid up together.
Okay, come on.
Squunched up in the little cubby
I don't
seat.
even
It's
care.
roomy.
Better food? No, absolutely not.
So I thought back to that conversation we had, and it made me think about like supportive partners and how that looks different to everybody. One person might care if he upgrades and takes it and doesn't consult with you or just leaves you and don't care about the whole ride with you because the whole point of the flight together is for us to sit together.
You were asleep.
Anyway, so
It's like, this ain't support.
I walked past her. She was sleeping.
several times, but that's my baby, and we was holding hands. What does a supportive partner look like to you?
Supportive partner looks like to me leaving me alone to do my stuff, like just letting
That's
me
real.
live, like and just knowing that I'm gonna ride for you just as hard as you ride for me. Like that should always be a mutual thing. For like I'm never gonna do you dirty, and like I said, my stance on that is 1, trust. You have to have trust with people. 2, I'm not gonna cheat on you. I would rather tell you goodbye. I might be a savage for that, but I'm just like I'd rather
Yeah.
leave. And also like being supportive to me is vital. Like I'm a single mom. I work, I volunteer, so I'm a sports psychologist at our local football program. I have a full-time job that makes me travel probably 60% of the time. I'm getting a doctorate. Like I have a lot.
You're very
There's some
busy.
spinning plates going on right now. And so just like being supportive is just picking up the slack and like not making me feel bad if I can't always show up for you the way that I want to. And then accepting my apology when I realize that I'm messing it up. And I'm gonna mess up. And I'm willing to own that, and I'm sorry, and I give good gifts. And that's my love language.
So you need someone to understand you're gonna fuck up, and they're probably
Yes.
gonna be really upset with you several times out of
and
the
I'm
week.
not gonna care. And I don't like
You know who you remind me of?
Who?
The First Wives Club. There is the light-skinned lady
Yes,
who's married
Michelle.
to Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remind me of her.
Everybody
She,
says
I mean,
that.
not his name isn't Kevin. His name is Gary.
Yeah, Gary's wife.
And
Yes.
she
Everybody
be
says
doing
that.
Gary so wrong, but then he loves her so much, and he just gets it. He ended up being a stay-at-home dad because it just made sense.
And he cheated on her, and
he
she took
cheated
him
on
on
her.
and
She
she
took
took
it
him
back,
back.
and
See,
she
and
slept.
that's what would have me on Snap.
But-
I'm out here working and getting to
Doctor,
it.
she's a whole
You
doctor.
have
But
to take care
she
of the
was
kids.
missing. I'm not saying it was right, but she also
She
was
did.
part. She added to why he cheated.
Well, he could have left.
And he did, but they got it back together. You remind me so much of her. You're like, hey, listen, this is what it is. I know I'm going to make more money than you, and I'm probably going to make you feel bad about it, but I do love you. And do you want a house?
I'm just curious. What's your sign? Are you a Virgo?
No.
Oh, what? Capricorn?
Nope.
Well, I don't know
Aquarius.
what.
Scorpio Sag.
Oh, that can be scary, I think. Because I don't
Why do
know.
you say that?
Only reason why I say that is because a lot of people say like things about Sagittarius and the Scorpios. It's
Yes,
like the
I'm a
sex is good,
cusper.
but they're crazy.
I am crazy.
Yeah, people do call Sagittarius Sagittarius a lot of times
Yeah.
because they
Absolutely,
say
100%. And then I gave birth to a Gemini, so it's real wild in my house.
Y'all in there.
a lot of energy.
Okay, Annie, how do you feel? First of all, are you dating? Are you currently dating? Are you single? What are we doing?
No, I'm dating.
Okay. Are you having fun? Are you dating and happy or dating and sad or you need to take a break because it's too much?
I'm just dating and busy. It's just,
Enjoying
and Atlanta
life.
is ghetto, so I don't date.
You date when you out of town?
Yes, I might meet you in another state somewhere else while I'm traveling, but
And nothing wrong with that.
Have you ever been on a date or been having a conversation with somebody or been scrolling on Instagram and you see this being talked about on a podcast where the men are like, what do you bring to the table? How does that question make you feel when you hear it? And do you have an answer for it?
I think it's rhetorical. If you don't know me, then you have no idea what I bring to the table, and why are we together?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't tell somebody what I do, that was my biggest gripe in my marriage. Was my ex-husband had no idea what I did for a living. Could not tell, no idea I was a performance psychologist for the Army. No idea what I did on a day-to-day basis. I knew everything about his job.
Was it the Hennessy?
Why didn't he know?
I just
you told him and he just didn't listen, or
my
married.
ex-husband and I dated when we were in high school. So we had known each other for he came to Vegas when I went to undergrad there. He's younger than me, but had no idea what I did for a living. If you were to ask him now, he still probably wouldn't be able to tell you what it is that I do.
In a way
piss me
that
off.
it's just right. But was it in a way where he just didn't know how to describe it, or
he just didn't?
He was a
care.
hater because sometimes people be masking the.
Sometimes I think people don't care enough.
They
just
don't
care
care
enough to be interested in what you have going on. I know you work.
Mm-hmm.
She does some where she talks to people. I don't really know.
That's exactly what
you
it
don't
was.
care to ask me questions when I get home from work or come
or
to
dive deeper
gala
into
for
it.
work.
And the worst part for him was I was working for the military at that time and put together an entire spouse resilience camp for his boat that he was a submariner. Put on a whole, was working with they're called FRGs. It's where all the wives get together before a deployment. Mm-hmm. So I did deployment cycle resilience training for them. And he still had I'm your whole entire boat literally knows I'm a subject matter expert in making sure that you communicate better before deployment and what it's going to be like and how to get your bills together and conversations to have with your spouse before they leave for deployment. Because as a spouse, it's much easier for me to use my degrees to explain that than it would be to bring in some outside source. So they brought me in. I still had no idea what I did for a living.
And that would piss me off because now I'm up here teaching this class and people looking at me well, are her methods gonna work?
No,
Because
they were just oh, your wife is dope. And he was like, oh yeah, she does.
I don't know. What?
That's wild, but I've heard a lot of married women say that about their husbands that they don't plan on divorcing. And I think that's crazy.
And I think it's for women too. I know a lot of wives
where you're just not interested
in
what
your
person
don't
is
care.
doing. And that to me, that's just rude. Because just with your friends or your family, people that you love, you might not understand exactly what they do, but you kind of still just ask questions like you would in a normal conversation. You know more about strangers than you know about who you laid up with. That's wild.
And also where do you spend most of your time at work? So then when you come home, you might need to vent a little bit about work. If I have no baseline knowledge, how am I supposed to carry on a conversation with you about something you're struggling with and you're there more than you're at home?
Yeah. That's why I think the what would you bring to the table question and conversation is so interesting because it's to me, it's in the little things of life, doing life with somebody. Something you don't even know what the fuck I got going on. No. That doesn't have anything to do with a job, a degree, how much money I'm gonna be paying on rent, which is a crazy conversation to be having.
Yes.
But the what do you bring to the table? Everybody's looking for these resume answers and anybody can say that.
And then too,
what type of person are you being at the table?
Yeah.
And then too, what about in the beginning, not somebody that you've been dating, but you meet somebody, because a lot of times men are, or women do it too, but I'm gonna speak about the men because that's who did it to me. We're sitting at the table and we're supposed to be getting to know each other. This is a first or second date. And you're asking me, what do I bring to the table without just saying that flat out? Because you're running down a checklist of things. It's you have this mental checklist trying to figure out what I do for a living. Do you think I'm intelligent? Do you think whatever it is that's on your list? How do I feel about bills being split and shit like that? And it's sir, you don't even know if you like who I am as a person before we get down to all of these intricate details that we apply to.
Makeup.
What?
What is y'all out here doing? It's ghetto. You're right. It is ghetto. Because what is y'all doing?
I just think it's silly. And I think that it's important to talk to a person that you're interested in and get to know them. And that all of those things come out. Everything that's on your checklist, it will come out. You don't have to run down a list. That's boring. And then you're not going to be able to explain anything because you're not going to remember everything that was told to you.
Because you're not really listening. You're running your checklist. It comes back to listening and communicating. People can't hold conversations. Like, let's be real.
Let's be real.
Like people, we don't know how to talk. We know how to text. It's so much easier to text and use social media and like be a keyboard warrior than it is to actually like be in front of someone and be like, I'm genuinely interested to get to know who you are as a person and build that intimacy of like just vibing with someone, like just getting
in real time.
In real time.
It's becoming like a abnormal thing. I was at church last Sunday and I've been working on it too, just like talking to people in general, get off of the phone and interact. And so there was this girl standing behind me and I was waiting for my bae to come out the bathroom. I was just standing there and I just wanted to talk. I had some coffee. And she was on her phone and I was like, hi. I was like, how are you? Is this your first time here? And the girl, she looked like, it wasn't rude. It was just like, you could tell she was like, she looked up like,
why are you speaking to me?
Talking? And then she put her phone down because she saw I was looking at her like, how you doing? Like, it's your first time here. And it was just so funny to me. Like, I love technology, but sometimes I'm like, it's making us weird.
I wanted to know more about something that you just mentioned, the resilience training. What is that exactly?
So, resilience comes from the School of Positive Psychology. I won't get all dry and like all of these things, but the University of Pennsylvania is where I got my training at to know more about resilience. And it looks at a lot of different factors from character strengths to, it's like the ABC model. So how your thoughts impact your emotions and behaviors. So understanding that sometimes, here's a perfect example. When you get cut off in traffic in Atlanta, that's what you would call an activating event. And after that, you have a thought that makes your brain do something. A lot of people think that there's no thoughts happening, and that's just wild to me. It's like, you have to tell your brain to move your arm. So if you get cut off, your brain is you're telling your brain to push the brake and to honk the horn and to be pissed off. Like, you have to tell your brain to speak. Like,
then you say, fuck that bitch.
Correct.
I was having this conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and we were talking about road rage and people getting upset in the car. It's a character flaw. It is a character flaw, bro, but continue going.
It is, and it's something that's not easily fixable because our brains have hairline triggers. So it's just something that's naturally we're going to honk the horn and yell, fuck you, bitch, and then
possibly like follow you and cut you.
And then,
that's wild behavior.
You're not following now. You got to stop somewhere.
You
Just
do.
Let it out.
So resilience is being able to build self-awareness within that and say, I have self-awareness, self-control, like optimism, all those there's like different factors within the resilience family. And being able to tell your brain, okay, that initial hair point reaction where I honked the horn and said, fuck you, bitch, I don't have to keep going from there. So building that's a muscle, that your brain is a muscle. So it's a muscle you have to move. It's the same thing if you commit to do something and then you have to make other plans or rearrange. Being resilient is bouncing back in adversity. So I wanted to run a half marathon, but I break my ankle, but I continue to ride a bike and do therapy, and then I'm going to run the next half marathon. I don't just give up on whatever that is. Or I get pregnant and I was getting ready to get my degree, and so I have to take a break. Resilience is bouncing back and saying, I'm either going to continue it or I'm going to take a break or getting a divorce. Like, relationships require a lot of resilience.
Oh, a lot. Because it'd be small things that happen every day. Every day
it's
you think
the
about.
little things that pile up.
Yeah, you think of,
And it comes down to communication too. And that's a key factor of being resilient, is being able to communicate if something's not working. And a lot of relationships that I've found when talking about resilience is, so in the military specifically, people let things build up over time. So I take care of the kids because you're gone at work, and yes, you pay the rent, but I have to clean the house and you're always gone, and we don't have enough money for XYZ. And they let all of those things compile, and then there's one triggering moment that happens. Instead of having this conversation with your partner and being honest, like, the kids are driving me crazy. Can I go leave for an hour to get a pedicure or a babysitter? Like, can we
something for me?
Yeah, something for
us.
or can we do? And for women, I find it very, like, in those specific instances, we don't communicate our needs. We just let it just fester, and then we blow up. And that person, or usually their partner, is looking at us like, what the just happened? And you're talking about stuff that happened 6 months ago that you could have easily, if you had that trust with your partner and that communication as a baseline, said, this is not working for me right now. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I need some help. I don't know what, and you might not know what the help is, but that's part of being in a relationship. You should be able to say, I don't know what I need, but I need something.
And this is how I'm feeling.
And this is how I'm feeling. But then that also comes back to you. Like, do you know how to express your emotions? Most adults don't. I work with adults and they think emotions are happy, mad, sad, glad, joyful. Like that, there is such a wide range. And I tell my clients this all the time. I'm like, there is a huge difference for me when you say I'm pissed off. Besides, I had white hot rage. Like that is a spectrum of anger. And so like, there's lots of places you can fall in there, annoyed, whatever. But
I always say, pull out the emotional
the wheel. Yep.
And if you got to Google it. I have a little emotional wheel paper like in my possession at home. Like, and I'd be like, do we need to pull out the wheel?
I mean, people think it's corny, but it's just but
it really
do you carry it
helps.
with you?
I don't carry it with me, but if we're ever out and it's like something happens and this little bicker could turn to something really big, I will Google it and be like, do you need to tell me exactly what's going on? Because I need to know, do we need to go home or can we get through this?
And if we can't, that's fine. Like, that's an acceptable answer. No, I don't want to do this. And that's okay. And a lot of people want to keep pushing. And I think that's another fault in some relationships is I want to do it this way. And this is the way that it has to be done versus the ebbs and flows that come with being in a relationship, a true partnership with someone. That doesn't mean that you always get what you want. That doesn't mean they always get what they want. Sometimes it just means like, I'm having a bad day. I said I wanted to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. Or this isn't going to work for me anymore. And being able to communicate that clearly to your partner is essential.
Yeah, communication, clear, healthy communication is really at the root of all the issues with your friends, not even just romantic relationships.
Absolutely.
I was listening to a podcast earlier today and I can't remember the lady's name, but she was talking about how let people know how you feel. What we were just saying, like even if it's like a friend calls you and you're just having one of those days where you got an attitude or you're upset and they ask you, how you doing? Be honest and say, I'm not really doing good today.
Today is not today.
I don't know
Today
what's
is
wrong.
not
I got an
today.
attitude. If you still want to talk, we can, but I just want to let you know that's why my energy's kind of low.
You know what? One of my best friends and I always call and I'm like, I'm on my bullshit. Do you have time to deal with that? No, literally, because I don't know what she has going on in her work day. And like, I could be emotionally dumping on you because I trust you, but like, we've been friends for years and we will call each other and be like, are you up for my bullshit? And sometimes she says like, I'm about to hop in the shower. I'm on a date or bet we'll talk later. I'll call you back and she'll tell me when she calls back. I think that's a follow-up. It's like, yes, I have to deal with it for that moment in time. And usually I'm less, upset after that, but it's just part of us having that trust in the relationship to be able to communicate like, no, I can't deal with your shit right now. Like I have other stuff going on.
It makes everything just 10 times better than a fallout happening.
Absolutely. And it comes like to your point, it goes back to like vulnerability piece. And people don't want to be vulnerable. That's why we don't communicate because you might say something that's embarrassing and you're like, I wonder.
And then the reaction of the other person, how is that going to go?
Exactly. Yeah. And you might ruminate on it and it's a whole thing.
Now with resilience and working through things and figuring stuff out, sometimes things just don't work.
Correct.
When do you think people should start looking at calling it quits?
Is like there's a specific time for that?
Or just like something is happening. Like maybe, okay, I keep expressing my feelings. He keeps expressing his feelings. We're having the same argument and I'm looking at the calendar. It's 2 years later.
Why are you
Nobody's
still there 2 years?
budging. Because I think that so often people don't want to break up for whatever reason. They don't want to end their marriages. It's embarrassing. They're afraid of starting over. They don't want to get back there. Even though this isn't all great, there's some good pieces and I don't want to start over.
Is that what you want? That would be my question. Is that what you want for your life? There's some good pieces?
Yeah, I mean,
that's wild.
Because I don't think that that's good, but many people end up in these situations because they think they should just stay. Or like maybe it's outside pressures. Your family is telling you, we don't believe in divorce.
Your family does not
and I might grow up.
life.
But you're a life coach and you have some credentials. I don't.
I'm a life coach. I have some credentials, but I'm also divorced and not good at relationships.
So you knew when to call it quits then.
I should have never gotten married. That's the God honest truth. Yeah.
Why do you think you shouldn't have gotten married?
I mean, there's so many stories I could tell you that were red flags about why I shouldn't have done that. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to be a wife. Like all of that. I was 27. 25, 26, I can't remember. And it was mid-20s. It was a while ago. And I just like looking back on it now, I'm like, I forced that hand, like absolutely forced that marriage. And it ended up costing me we could have still been friends. And I don't regret any of it. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about relationships. I am much more empathetic to people who can't just leave. I should have left many, many times. So I get it. But also, I hope that people listening to this, you don't have to stay. You can leave, and it will be okay at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, and that's going to be the work that you have to do. You're going to have to put that work in. But it is scary. I mean, it's scary to leave for financial reasons. It's scary to leave for emotional reasons. It's scary to leave if you have children. Like, there's a lot of reasons it's scary. Divorce is crazy. Like, all that paperwork is wild.
Really, when you think about it, marriage is crazy. Like, marriage is absolutely insane. Like, you are literally, not saying that I don't agree with it and that I don't still want it, but to think and want to get married, it's like, you are telling somebody, I'm gonna rock with you until we die. You're the traditionally, if y'all got extra stuff going on, cool. If you can step out, cool.
Those are so interesting to me.
Yeah, like you're like, till death do us part. We're gonna be with each other forever. We're gonna create human beings together. Hopefully we raise them. I mean, it's just it's all an insane thing. But I appreciate you and your accountability, because a lot of the times people love to say that women are not accountable for sometimes when relationships go.
Oh, I absolutely was a contributing factor to that divorce.
Yeah, like sometimes we don't want to look at what we contributed to it. And it's like, I know a lot of people who are going through divorce currently right now. And it's like, okay, so what lessons did we learn? And like, what do you, it's two
what
people.
Can you do different?
Yeah, and also like, what did you miss any red flags? When people be like, no, I never knew that this was going, it's like, no, that's just not true.
There's
Even
no
with
way.
people that you are currently with, everybody has red flags. You decide if you're going to keep moving and or if you're not. And I just really appreciate that accountability.
I mean, I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't take accountability and like, yeah, I screwed that up. Like, do I regret it? No. And again, I didn't have a messy divorce. I will give my ex-husband that. He has been nothing but respectful to me and how I choose to parent our child and all of that. Like, so mad props to him on that. We just weren't good together. And like, we didn't grow at the same rate. And that's really what it came down to, was I needed to be where I'm at today. I had to flourish, and it took a lot more watering than he was willing to do. And that's fine. And so I appreciate him for letting me go and not fighting me and not making it messy and not being, raggedy. He's raggedy in other ways, but like not in that way. And so I know a lot of people don't have that. So I have a few friends that have had really great divorces, and I've had friends that have had epic, tragic, like chaos divorces. And it's just like, why do you want to hold on to something that you don't really want anymore? I've never understood that.
I think there's just like a petty situation. I had a person that I know who her ex-husband, he tried to take her 401k. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, and it was like, how could you do, like, what? Like, we had a wedding and told everyone we loved each other, and now you coming for my jugular shit that didn't have nothing to do with you? And what? This is how people end up on Snapped.
It is, because that's your life after him.
And you said, you know what? I don't even need this, but I'm coming for it.
Or I just want it because I'm greedy. I mean,
you got people that will try to get the kids and you don't even want.
Don't want them.
Wrong with
but you want the child support and the alimony. I feel for those people, because that is an individual problem that had nothing to. That's why their relationship didn't work, is because of whatever individually they're contending with was not where it needed to be.
And they probably had road rage. See?
They absolutely.
It's a sign. Anyways, on that note, we're going to move on. So we had so many more topics, but we're running out of time. So we're going to move on to Indecisive Diane. And when we come back, Annie's going to help us give some advice.
Ooh.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
Hey ladies, it's me, Diane, and this week it's another date idea for all my Atlanta daters. Or maybe you're gonna be visiting Atlanta. Go to Atlantic Station and check out the Midnight Market. I believe it's every Saturday. Go to their website, because this is not sponsored, and look at the schedule. I've been, I would rate it maybe a 4 out of 10, but it is a very cute date if you haven't been before. They have tasty snacks, rollerblading.
It is time for the advice. If you have a question that you would like for us to answer on the show, you can email it to us, advice@cocktalespod.com. Okay, so this one says, why is he telling me this? Oh, Lord, this is probably going to be a doozy. So she says, hey, Kiki and Medina, I'm a faithful listener and a huge fan. I'm writing in for your take on a situation. It seems to me that I have side chick energy and most of the men I meet have situationships. So I usually thank them and politely move on. This one guy insisted we stay friends, so we talk every now and again, and I mind my business and never ask about his unless the flirting gets out of hand. We hang out every so often, but it's usually with other people, or we go for drives and chats. And sometimes, wait, we did this one.
Did we?
Yeah. We did. Sorry, hang on.
Go to the one just to the next episode, and then I'll find another one.
Now. Okay.
While you're looking at that, can I just pause for just a quick second?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll pull it up. Okay.
You got it?
Mm-hmm. Let me not start typing. What's your problem? Where are you trying to go?
Whitley Beyonce.
No, you can see me. You see me right here?
Hilarious.
So, Waddy, what'd you say?
Are you a dog person?
Oh, yeah. I should have brought my Frenchie. I said it.
She loves Frenchies. My friend used to have a Frenchie, and every time she sees one, she gets excited. I'm like, that's not the same dog.
Oh.
Calm down. That dog is gone. Sorry, girl.
What happened to it?
Old. So he was like holding the dog for somebody who's a breeder. And then he sold the dog because I don't think she could get pregnant. So it was like, oh, you need to go. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we are back from Indecisive Diana. It's time for the advice. If you would like for us to answer a question on the show, make sure you email us advice@cocktalespod.com. Okay, so this one says, embarrassing date advice needed. Hi, Cocktails Dirty Discussions team. Did you use ChatGPT to send this email? Because that's how the things be starting off. All right. That's all right. You had to put your thoughts together.
Maybe she was at work and she was like, I don't want to sound dumb because we be making fun of people.
Mm-hmm. Spell check. I appreciate it. All right. I hope you're all doing well. I've been a fan of the podcast for a while now, and I love the candid, yes, you did. And I love the candid and hilarious advice you give. I'm reaching out because I recently had a dating experience that was beyond embarrassing, and I could really use some advice on how to handle the aftermath. Here's what happened. I went on a date with a woman I met online, and everything was going great initially. We decided to go to a nice restaurant, and I wanted to make a good impression. I was feeling a bit nervous, so I ordered a drink to calm my nerves. I understand. Unfortunately, I underestimated the strength of the cocktail, and it hit me harder than expected.
You was drunk and embarrassed yourself?
By the time our food arrived, I was already feeling a bit tipsy. As if that wasn't bad enough, during the main course, I started to feel queasy. Oh, shit. I tried to power through it, but it became clear that I wasn't going to make it. I excused myself to go to the bathroom, but on the way there, I tripped over someone's chair and ended up face planting into the floor.
I'm going home. I would be so embarrassed if I was the one who fell. I gotta go home.
Yes, and then it's like makeup smudge, hair all over the place.
People are looking like, ma'am, are you okay? And then they didn't even see you fall. Now they're coming to the table and they're like, we saw you fall. We're gonna give you a free drink.
Fall. He don't even know me like that. Okay. Okay, the entire restaurant saw and I could hear some people laughing. Damn, so you must have did it like sloppy. All right, I was mortified. I got up as quickly as I could and made my way to the bathroom to compose myself. When I returned to the table, my date was polite but visibly uncomfortable. We finished the meal and I apologized profusely, but the vibe had definitely changed. We parted ways amicably, but I haven't heard from her since. Oh. I'm not sure if I should reach out to apologize again or just let it go. How can I recover from such an embarrassing situation? Should I address it if we go out again or just pretend it didn't happen? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks. All right, Cocktails team.
Team. Team, what do we think? Can we recover from an embarrassing moment on a date?
I think you can, but if the person is too turned off, if there's nothing there and you haven't heard from this person, if you reached out and they didn't answer, you need to call it quits. They're not interested anymore. Yeah. It was a turn off. Sometimes some people, they have a sense of humor. They can rock with it. It's just like, okay, whatever. Really, I'm clumsy. I was just on good behavior that day, and they understand.
Yep. You definitely have to address it. Like, I don't like when embarrassing shit happens and you don't bring it up. Like, just bring it up.
How you bring that up? And like, what's there to say? I trip? Or he should bring up that he had to drink, or she. I don't know if it's a man or a woman.
Maybe he could send her a text or call her, even FaceTime. That's real bold, and just be like, "Hey, listen, like I just fell really hard for you."
That's the
corniest thing I've heard.
And she might laugh. I mean, you could maybe save it. It's all about like, how are you? Like,
you had me weak in the knees, and I fell.
Yeah, like you let her know that could maybe work if you like use it as a moment to compliment her and save it. Like, first dates are also very delicate. We all are super judgy on first dates. So
judgy, nervous, like
that's why.
Happen.
Why do you spend all this money on a first date? Go to coffee.
Well, hold on.
Oh
no!
Don't you take me to no coffee now?
No.
Wait a minute.
Don't you take me on no coffee date?
Like, if you trip in a coffee shop or you trip in a 5-star restaurant, which is more embarrassing?
They're all
the coffee shop, because people are awake and alert. Nobody's drunk in there. Nobody's typing on their computers.
You done knocked over all the lattes, the books that they had, the little decorative vase.
You're not drunk though, so you're not falling.
You might. I'm clumsy. I done fell a lot of places.
I have fallen on a date.
I've fallen downstairs. I've slipped and fell. I bust my butt. I didn't face plant, but damn near I had a.
Yeah, he didn't see me fall down the steps at Cheddar's. We were at Cheddar's.
Okay, well that's Cheddar's. See, that's fine to fall at Cheddar's.
I was so embarrassed. The children were laughing, and I was like, I'm so glad my date didn't see it. I go and sit down back, and then the cook came from outside. He was like, we saw you fall. Are you okay? I was like, this nigga didn't even know that I fell. Look
at you said to tell him, so that's a perfect opportunity. She said, I just fell, and people might be concerned for my safety.
Yeah, my bad.
You had a painkiller, didn't you, at Cheddar's? So
yeah, I think you should reach out. See how they handle it.
It's a first date. Why are we reaching out if she's not interested?
She might not know that she really is interested.
5 billion people on this planet.
But I do wonder, did you ever reach out, or were you waiting on the other person to make the first move? I think if you haven't said anything, reach out to the person.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yes, I can get on board with that. But now, if they ignore, leave it. I don't.
If they ignore, leave it alone. Don't be corny. Leave it alone.
No, you should be corny. Weak in the knees was great. I love that. I would think that's hilarious. But I would have been like, I would have laughed anyway when they were
like, you all right?
I thought he was gonna throw up after he
That's
fell.
What
I was waiting for that.
And I'm not gonna lie, if I was on a first date, a man gets that drunk and throws up, I don't reach back.
We don't know though. It's ambiguous. It's a they.
6'5", 250.
Dark chocolate.
No. Like,
if he gets drunk off of one drink, we're breaking up on that.
I would assume he had like 3.
I'm done. I can't do
we gotta go.
The big man if he got drunk, not this person, whoever they are. Yeah, you had one, and like, good luck to you though. If it works out, please send us a cocktail and let us know what happened next. If it gets spicy, if not, sorry for you, and good luck in your future endeavors. Now we're going to move on to the cocktails. If you have a cocktail that you would like to share on the show, we would love to read it. Please email us cocktails@cocktailspod.com. All right.
So we only have time for one. So we saved that special spot for our girl, Annie. Annie is going to share one of her, I guess, the old school cocktail. Is the current old school?
No, it's old.
Okay. I love a good old cocktail. Old fashioned.
So embarrassing. Old thing. Yeah, go ahead. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I am seeing this person and I'm not aware that they're dating someone else. So we're messing around. So I drive to go meet this person. Let's preface, this person used to date a friend. They were not dating anymore. And then we ended up hooking.
You broke the whole girl code.
She was raggedy.
Are y'all still friends?
No, we're not still friends. So his mom is out of town. And so his mom's house is closer to where I was living at the time than his house. Yeah. So he's like, come meet me at my mom's house. I'm going to cook something for you. Like this is a daytime link. And so I'm like, okay,
he's making lunch.
Yeah, he's making lunch. Like we're, cool, bet. Go over there. We're messing around. And all of a sudden, I see this car pull up from the window. And so, like, we're kissing on the couch and, you know, whatever, things are getting a little spicy.
Did he make lunch?
Yes, he did make lunch.
You're like, don't see me.
This is after lunch. And all of a sudden, I hear someone start screaming and running up to the door.
I'm mad.
And I was like, okay. And we in California, you have screen gates. So all you hear is this banging on the door. And I'm like,
this is giving Jody and Yvette.
So then
what is going
this person comes to the window and the curtain is cracked and her face is just in the window, like visibly pregnant.
Oh, she don't got nothing to lose. She's like, nigga, it's a baby
like,
in me.
Hey.
Fucked up.
Yes, exactly. So he's like, hey, I'm sorry. You have to go in the closet. I said, excuse me.
Was his name Calvin? Okay.
I said, he's like, look, I promise, like, I'll take care of you. Have to go hide in the closet. So
you really thought about it because you was like, I'm not a fighter.
So he had a little sister. So I'm in this closet with I'll never forget this, a whole bunch of princess dresses. And I'm standing there. She's Hispanic, cussing this top to bottom. I know this bitch is in here.
She probably had a knife.
Who the hell? She's ripping open doors. So
was
I
you
hear
sweating?
her
Heart is beating.
Because I was like,
so I opened the closet. Jesus.
And I was like, oh my God. She opens the closet and he like grabbed, thank God for, he was raggedy but decent, grabbed her because I'm like standing in this is like a walk-in closet. So I'm like standing in the back. He was like, you need to calm down. It's not good for the baby. Da 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 da. Blah, blah.
Oh, now you're worried about the baby.
I know this bitch is in here. Da da da. I see her car in the driveway. Da da. And I was like, oh, come on. So, you know, that he calms her down. He's like, I'm going home right now. You know, da 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 da. So he leaves with her, and I get a text. Hey, can you lock my mom's house up?
Not my mama's house. Ooh.
Did you do it?
Of course, I love his mom. So
for your mama, but not for you, you raggedy heifer, you.
I was like, and I think we spoke one time. I was just like, what do you say after that? Your pregnant girlfriend came here looking for you. You made me
I was in the closet practicing my fight stance because I didn't know if I had to fight for my life
in my hand. I was like,
right? I'm gonna have to pop her.
I got a hanger in one hand and a shoe. That shit happened to me one time, a very long time ago. His girl didn't come. His mom came home and she was like, I'm sick of you having these pussies in the house.
Well, that's different.
He made me hide in the shower. And I'm in the shower and I'm like, it's not a spider. Like, what are we doing? She's looking for knives and I hear it. I'm like, nigga, why?
No.
I had to get my vortex together because why did I do this?
Okay. Why am I here? I'm ready to go.
There you go. That's my cocktail.
Annie, that was a really great cocktail. That might need to be a clip. Thank you so much. We're so glad that you grew from that moment and you are now a boss. We hope so. But you are a boss bitch woman now. Let everybody know where they can find you if they need a life coach. Because some of these people listening to this show, they do need a life coach.
They probably do. And that's great. I'm on Instagram at UnbotheredAM. You can follow me there. You'll see a lot of baseball stuff for my son, but working on getting the website up and doing more things. Got to finish the doctorate first, though. So that's
priorities.
We'll be priorities.
Right.
One thing at a time. But we'll be on here soon enough. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming and being on time. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah. The little things.
Before we go, I want to remind everybody, if you are interested in joining me in Iceland, November 1st through the 6th, go to paradiseandvibe.com. Book. It is going to be an incredible trip.
All right, you guys, and make sure you sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/CockTales. And also follow us on Instagram to keep up with everything that we have going on. We're at CockTales Podcast. I'm at Kiki Said So.
I'm at Coffee Bean Dean.
And until next week, you guys,
goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye. 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 Population. Goodbye. Bye. Bye. Sweet on the drive. Bye. Bye. Bye.